In this live, I'm going to basically just be going through the questions over here that you guys asked in a previous post I did. So this was the post where basically I said I was answering questions around paid and organic social media. But before I get into that, first shout out to Seth Muse for putting me onto Ecamm. This thing is amazing. Hopefully the audio sounds good. Hopefully it's streaming properly. And let me know if it's not. Thank you so much, Jeremy, too, for working with me on the back end to get all this live. You can see right there, I have the question, the post that I had done in this group the other day, 6 weeks ago. I've moved recently, so it's been a long 6 weeks. And basically, I was just asking, what are the questions you guys have around paid and organic social media? And here's 24 different questions, but basically, I'm going to start from, let's go up a little bit more. And let's see right there. So we'll go from here on the left or right, and we'll start just going through these questions. And as I'm talking, if you guys have other questions, I can see them over here. Just let me know what they are. I'm going to try to keep this to about 15 minutes or so because I do have another call coming up, but I just want to make sure to keep my word and get through these. So Jordan Bruce was saying, how does a church under 200 members be effective on social media without oversaturating their viewers? Sorry, I think I actually had answered that one already, so I'm going to just keep moving here. Is it better to choose your audience or let Facebook suggest your ad to the audience it thinks best for you for a continuous ad? So for this, I've actually been seeing this a lot recently. When you let Facebook, if you do a lookalike audience, Facebook basically it shows it to people who end up being bots. I don't know how this is happening. And I've talked to Facebook about this and said, we got to stop this. I mean, our rep at Facebook, she said that they've been seeing that a lot too, where if you choose a lookalike audience and you optimize your ad for an engagement, you're going to end up seeing a lot of bot followers. And you know this because they will follow your kids page, your youth page, your actual page, all that stuff at once. It's just no bueno. So I'd recommend choosing an interest audience when you're looking at reach, video view, and engagement campaigns, because the interest audience is probably going to have less bots in it. And then if you're looking at something like optimizing for somebody to sign up for your event, then you do a lookalike built off of other people who signed up for the event. And then the biggest couple of things to gain followers and engagement, just be authentic. Stop chasing big numbers, please. This is the number one thing. I always see churches not even just churches, brands. I just got off a call with the ecom brand and they were like, how do we grow our social media account? It's at the end of the day, you're probably only reaching 10% of that audience after they start following you anyways. And the way to beat that is actually having engaged followers. I know even when I was at Elevation, we'd spend so much time in the comments and DMing people back, just having conversations and building actual connections with the people who followed us. And I would recommend doing that with your church. And that's going to build engagement because these people are then going to, when you engage with them, they're going to then look at your profile, and that's going to then in the algorithm show your stories first on stories and also on their feed with other content. And if you keep engaging with them continuously, they're going to see more of your content. So just building meaningful relationships with them. And if you can, building a team around reaching out to people authentically with your church, as your church basically in the community, and just basically using the locations tab, looking up in your area of 5, 10, 15 miles and meaningfully engaging with the people in your area. That's going to be something that really will never change. I know Chad Zolo and I used to say always at Elevation, he was the online pastor, and we would always say the famous thing that Jeff Bezos has said, it was what will never change. And people are always going to want things faster. When thinking about Amazon, they're always going to want things faster. They're always going to want things cheaper, and they're going to want to always just get a deal. And that's pretty much what Amazon delivers. Those things will never change. And when it comes to social media for your church, start thinking about what are the things that will never change and doing those things instead of chasing follow bots and all of that stuff and trying to find the hack. So sorry, I just had to go on a little rant there. But next, Dina Jean said, how do you effectively balance video content with other non-video posts? Our engagement seems like a yo-yo a lot, and we can't find what actually works best. So I would say start here by thinking of your content in buckets. So we would have sermon clips, sermon graphics, then we'd have like stories. And then we'd have like eFam stories, which is like our online community. We'd have stories that way. Start to look at that when you say like what works versus doesn't work. And you can actually strategically post this content over the week. And maybe one day you only do one type of content and see what your numbers look like that day, versus another day you do another type of content, another day you do another type of content. And you then go back and look at the week and say what days actually performed best. And that's a way I've found to be able to tell what type of content works. And then as far as like just graphics and things like that, I mean, honestly, like I would ask Dina, like, do you enjoy seeing graphics from a church? Usually it's more seeing video content from the pastor. And that's where I say like that content seems to work pretty well. And another thing is keep the clip to a complete thought if you can. So try to have a complete thought in your clip. If you do a sermon clip, keep it to 30 seconds, 15 to 30 seconds, and try to, have a complete thought in there for people. Next is Kayla Dickens asked, do you have a template or formula for tracking reach? No, so for this, I would use what's called super metrics. The reason I'd use super metrics is because if you're looking at reach, you're probably going to look at reach on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and all of their channels. And what you want to do when you're looking at your analytics is have one single source of truth. Because if not, you're going to if you look at reach inside of Instagram, and then you look at Facebook's reach inside of there, one, it's limited data. Usually it's like 28 days back. Two, each source is going to report a little different. So if you look at a third party and say something like Supermetrics, and you build out basically what's called a query, and you just say, I want to track reach on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and you just plug in your accounts, you can start to track those week over week. You set it up once and it will track week over week moving forward. It's very easy to do that. And then it says reach or engagement. I prefer looking at engagements. And then on Instagram, I always loved looking at saves, because that told me that, hey, this is really, the really, really engaging content for people if they're willing to save it. Next is, how do you figure out what a decent budget for social media ads promotion looks like? There's two ways to do this. First way, if you have no idea what you're doing when you're starting off, just spend $5 a day for 7 days. And before you start spending, say, what is the expected result that I'm going to get from this? If you're doing event signups and you're anticipating spending $5 for somebody to sign up for an event, well, you're going to get 7 event signups. And if you do, good, you hit your goal. If you get them cheaper, great, you exceeded it. And if you didn't hit it, well, then you can look at your ads and say, what could we have done better? But if you know what you want out of the campaign and you say, hey, we need, another 50 people to show up at this event, then you just have to do the math backwards and say, what is it probably going to cost to get somebody to come to this event? And then doing the math there and then putting the budget that's needed for that. I do recommend, say you have 30 days to run the campaign. I'm running some campaigns with churches like this right now where I'm saying, hey, for the first 7 days, we're going to guess what it'll probably be. Once we actually get a read on actual data, then we're going to reforecast our numbers for the rest of the 28 days or however many days, 23 days that we have left for the campaign. So next, Amber Polk asked, how do you balance appealing to the congregation you have versus appealing to the congregation you want? So for this one, I would say, and this is a conversation we'd have a lot with Pastor Stephen around, we knew that his relationships sermons would do really well. I mean, even if you look at like when Mike Todd kicked off, like his stuff was based on, I think it was one of the relationship sermons that Pastor Stephen had done. He had kind of done like a spin-off of that. And we knew that content was what people wanted. We also knew, that was just what people wanted to hear from him. But he didn't want to go into, he felt like the congregation as a whole, needed more than just talking about relationships. Not that it's not important, but it just needed to be a different message. And I think balancing, it's more about balancing instead of like the congregation you want versus the one you have, is just knowing, what is it that the congregation needs versus trying to get one side or the other. Because at the end of the day, if you give people what they need, then they will ultimately, stay engaged, or they will start engaging. So I think repositioning the question and asking that. Then Alicia Alexander asked, how do you deep dive into analytics and post content that reaches without paying You don't. I'm just playing. I don't know. How do you deep dive into analytics and post content that reaches without pain? Also, how do you manage adding in content that pastors find on a whim? Ooh, that's a good one. It's messy. It's just messy. You get a text and it just says, "Hey, I like this," and it's just a video or something like that. That's just kind of how it's like, and there's no process for it. It's just, okay, we're gonna run with that, and it's a bit of like mind reading and just knowing what they've liked in the past, and then just asking questions. And always make sure you keep your heart good in those moments, because it could be easy to kind of let that sit in, and then it spreads your team about like, man, if they knew how hard jobs was, they wouldn't ask us to do this till last minute. But you have to remember, like, non-creatives asking you to do something, it's just they think, hey, this is what you do for a living, or social media manager, this is what you do. Your job is to just take in what I'm giving you, and then you guys make it fit and look great. And then as far as the deep diving into analytics and post content that reaches without paying, I think what you're saying is, how do you look at analytics and your content on like Facebook and Instagram that isn't promoted by ads? And for that, I would use, like I said, super metrics. If you can't pay the $60 for super metrics, then looking at it from Facebook itself. Facebook does have some great reporting. If you start to dive into what's called Facebook analytics, I use that for the ad side and for the organic side. So I'd say look into learning Facebook analytics, just YouTube Facebook analytics beginners, and you will find stuff there. What do you recommend for ongoing training? I mean, these groups are amazing. Honestly, when I was working at Elevation, I never used these groups, and I wish I would have more. I think they should charge for us to be in these groups, and they don't, and they're free. Like church social media managers, church comms, church marketers with, now I'm forgetting his name, of course, but yes. So they are all amazing groups. I think just learning from those, as well as I would watch a lot of like Gary Vee stuff. I would watch a lot of, I'd read a lot of different books. Like I love, all of Seth Godin's books. And I would say best training is just doing and then reflecting on how it did. So trying something new, tracking all the metrics that you need to be measuring, and then assessing. What I always use is insights and action. So for everything we do, I try to have at least three insights of, here's some things I noticed. Hey, when we posted on stories, we 2x'd our engagement. Here, what are our actions? Hey, moving forward, that's going to be part of our social media plan. Is we're going to have social media stories as part of our social media plan, and we're going to double down on stories this next week. So always having insights and actions, because it allows you to kind of create a course from your own experiences in a way. And then next we have Stefan Daigle. When boosting a service post, what are some best practices or tips for being the most effective and reaching the most amount of people? So I'd say the goal isn't to reach the most amount of people, it's to reach the most amount of the right people. Now, I say this having spent, like, I was just working with the brand. We spent like $50,000 on engagement campaigns. This is not a church, it's a supplement company. And we spent like $50K on these engagement campaigns. But ultimately what we saw was our bounce rate, which is the amount of people who come to our website and leave without taking action, that was going up so much because we were bringing in the wrong people. We were bringing in, a lot of bots, because bots will engage really quickly. And Facebook, we're just telling Facebook, find the people who will engage, or find the people we can reach fastest, which a lot of times is low quality traffic. So I would say when you're boosting a service post, what I like to do here is I look at these service posts I like to have a messages page on the website first. Now we have yourchurchname.com /messages. Now we have all their messages here. Hopefully they're all YouTube embeds, and we have that page. And then we drive new people. So what we call my prospecting audience, our new people, we drive them to this page, introducing them to, we show them maybe the clip and we drive them to the full video there. And I like to just use link click campaigns to get them to actually click through and check out a video, a sermon. And those usually cost between 20 and 50 cents. And this is the first touch that they ever have with our church. And this is the way that we introduce them to our content and get them into the stream, if you will. And then we had Jaffe G, he said, Facebook only shows your live video to a certain percentage of your followers/likes. How do you tap into getting a bigger audience watching a live video? So that's a great question. I actually, at one time at Elevation, I was able to get our live feed as an ad showing up on people's feeds on the weekends. And somehow Facebook shut that off eventually. But what I would say is for that, using your email list to push to your live feed. So what you would do is just make sure to send out an email before you go live to let the people know on your email list, hey, we're going live tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. EST. And then when you go live, send them the link to your Facebook page. So it can be a pre-written email. Send them a link to your Facebook page. And on the Facebook page, it's going to have your live video right there. So I'd say doing that can be a win. But I'd probably push to YouTube if you have the YouTube, if you're going live on YouTube. I always prefer YouTube. I mean, I like YouTube because during the week, then they're going to be seeing other videos from your church when they're on YouTube because they tuned into your live on the weekend. So that's how we're getting them into what we call like the stream of your content. So hopefully that answers your question. Jafet, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name there. And then we have, is boosting a post ever effective? I mean, it's more effective than just posting your content and not doing anything. Absolutely. But I would just say when it comes down to it, you should basically be able to just set up a 3-part structure in your Facebook ads account and then put your content into it. So you have prospecting. I got to think of new names for this because this is not church relevant. It's like prospecting, remarketing, and loyalty. So prospecting is people who don't know your church, have never heard of you. You're excluding all the people who have engaged with your Instagram in the last year, and anybody on your email list, all of that. Website visitors, everybody, they don't know you. That's where you're going to put a lot of this like boosted content stuff, is you're going to run ads at that part of the funnel to these people to introduce them to your church. Now, when you do a boost, a lot of times Facebook's going to find the cheapest traffic. So you're not able to really put good exclusions when you do these boosted posts, which ends up leading to you targeting people who already attend your church, which isn't a bad thing. But when you're looking back and saying what performs best, is it prospecting, remarketing, and loyalty, and actually building out a strategy that says, let's speak to these people differently. Like in loyalty, these are people who are engaged, who are coming to your church, and let's speak to those people. Let's show them our giving series videos. I mean, you can have like a giving series video campaign going on all year to people who have given to your church, people who are serving with your church. You can be showing them stories of life change. You can be showing them outreach videos. Like that just makes sense at this part of the funnel. And these things you can set up and spend less time versus boosting every single post and then just saying like, cool, we have more reach and more engagement. But what does that actually translate to? And I think that's our job as church marketers to start to think about it. Like, what is this? How does this end? We just boost things until we get enough likes that more people get saved. And how do we know? I just think we have to really look at that and how we're stewarding things. So in my opinion, it's more effective than just posting and not doing anything. But at the end of the day, I would go ahead and set it up in Facebook Ads Manager. How do you communicate best? How do you best communicate throughout all the departments to achieve a high level of social media? Our church is 400-ish, and this is a struggle. It feels like my job for me to know all that is going on and staying on top of that is a challenge. And I see you have a little one in there too, Melanie, so I get it. I have 3 little guys running around. So I would say the best way to do this is just try to find ambassadors in each department. Now, obviously, everybody's not going to be into social media across your whole church. That just would be silly to think that everybody really does care. That would be, odd. Like, not everybody's going to care about social media like that. But just using text threads to reach out to some people in each department saying, hey, what's going on in your department this week? Oh, hey, maybe the men's department's having a lunch or something like that, or a car wash or something. And just to ask one of the guys that you think is, probably capable, tell them, hey, shoot it on your phone this way, not this way, or whatever way you want it. Let them know, hey, I just send me 15-second clips from the car wash. And we would do that so much across all of the departments, Melanie, is we would make sure that we had content coming in from all angles that we didn't actually have to go shoot ourselves, but we had them feel empowered. And it's great because then they feel like they have a voice on the feed as well. And I always recommend, starting off like this before we go off and make a bunch of sub accounts, just doing this strategy and having all the what would be sub accounts sharing content with the main account so that we can have more stuff moving. So a question just came in from Nate Williams. He said, we have multiple campuses with low engagement on social for 3 of them. How would you go about getting people to, and then it looks like he was abducted by an alien when he went to finish that. So I was just imagining, like, how do you get the people to engage? And then how would you go about getting our people to either follow and engage our main campus, or do we communicate the same thing through each campus? Yeah, it becomes a mess when you have multiple accounts because people don't really know the difference. They think elevation is elevation, but then there's like elevation Raleigh, elevation Greensboro, elevation Ballantine, elevation Matthews. There's just so many. There's 18. It just becomes a mess. And I can only imagine even with 3. So I would recommend having a main account at least for the next year until you guys get to the place where you have so much going on at these other campuses and so much content's being fed to the main account that you need other accounts. Now at Elevation, we would say, okay, like you guys can run your sub accounts and we're not going to micromanage you. And we're even going to kind of make fun of you guys sometimes because the content they would make would be so rogue. It would just be bad. But that's part of learning and part of coaching is they have to kind of do some things that are kind of off the wall and then say, hey, let's probably not do that again. Things like that. So I would say having them kind of consolidate to one account so that you can get the main account to a very healthy place and promote all the events through there. And then I think email is an amazing place where you can start segmenting by campus. But when you look at social media, it's already hard enough to run one, let alone run multiple. So James Martin said, do you have a parent-child relationship with your Facebook pages? We do, and we love it. Are you saying we do? What is this here? I'm just going to click add to. Oh, nice. Awesome. I didn't even know I could do that. Okay, perfect. We do, and we love it. Yes, we would have the parent-child relationship with our Facebook pages. And if you don't know what he's talking about, basically, I think you're saying basically similar to like if you were to go to like Chick-fil-A's Facebook page. I remember when I worked with them before on some like marketing stuff is they have a main page and then they have multiple sub pages within it, and then you can have even locations tagged under that main page. So that's a great way to do that. And even with Facebook, as it gets great because you can dynamically say like show the location that's closest to the person that's seeing the ad in the copy. So if they're closest to uptown location, it would show that if that's where they were location wise. So you do some fun things there. But if you don't know what that is, don't even worry. Just keep moving. Pretend you never heard that. We are doing really well on social media. So Curtis, that's amazing to hear. For our small church with 80 people, hey, it's still 80 people. I think that's good. And then I need tips on how to get members to buy in the habit of visiting the page and sharing some of the content. So I would say, this is tough. Like, how do you get the members? I would say like starting some sort of group beyond just like our church group. What we would do a lot of would be, what we would do a lot of here is like we started like a motivation. Oh no, I started like I think it was like a Christian. What was it, like a leadership motivational group? But it was for Pastor Stephen's 1 minute motivation. Oh my gosh, I just realized I'm like 10 minutes over time. I'm gonna have to hop off in like 3 minutes. I do have a call shortly, but we started a group, and I would say like doing that is having a group that's actually helpful to the people. Because people don't really want to share content. Like nobody wakes up. How many of you guys woke up today to share some content? You didn't. You woke up today to have some good coffee, maybe have some good food, maybe check out something that made you laugh, and then you shared it. So I would say creating better content that actually is relevant to your audience, and then just creating a group that actually adds value to these people. Whether it could even be like a local like exchange one, like a local yard sale group, but it's from your church. It's actually adding value to people in the area. Or if you want to go the more motivational route, you can, where every day somebody from your church gets on and like shares something motivational for that morning. But You can even call it like morning motivational or motivational morning Facebook group, and it's just for your area. And maybe you like reference local landmarks and things like that, but just doing something different, just having a page and telling people to share, it's just not going to work. So Aaron King, I will end on your question. So you said for a church with limited budget that is just starting with ads and using analytics to help target our content, what would be your starting point? All of the strategies can be overwhelming. Boom. Let's put his question up there. Man, I love I almost said OBS. Sorry, Ecamm. I love this. So basically what he's asking is like, how do you get started with Facebook ads? So I don't mean to plug this, but like I have a free course that basically will walk you through it, and there's no other course on the back end. I'm not selling you anything. It's just a free course. So that way I don't have to say this every time, because I know this is a question that comes up, but it basically helps you how to set up like your first audience, how to make sure you have the pixels set up so you can track targeting, and then what to spend starting off, and then how to like see others' ads using the Facebook ads library, which if you don't know yet, like you could see other churches' ads in the Facebook ads library. You just go Google that now. And it's at churchfacebookAds.com. So I would recommend just like doing that. This is a whole nother conversation in itself, but just starting off with $5 a day, try to convince your leadership to say, we could spend $150 a month. I'm sure you guys have wasted that on print or something else this month, and you can find that in the budget, even if you have to go talk to accounting. But yes, and then you'll be able to actually measure things for the first month. And I would just start off with engagement ads in the beginning, focused on different interests that are local to your area, and target them local to your area, and just boosting your existing content. Basically, it's amplifying the existing content that your team's already creating, and the goal there is just to double your engagement. I'm talking about doubling your Facebook engagement and doubling your Instagram engagement, and that would cost you about $150 a month, based on what I see most people's engagement is on social media. So I will answer one more. Let's see. Thank you so much, Angela, for joining and being, so like involved in this live. James Martin, thank you. So they're multi-site, 4 locations, and they have a parent page, and the main page posts trickle down to locations. I actually didn't know you can do that. That's awesome. That is really awesome in itself. I did not know you could do that. Boom, boom, boom. For ads. Absolutely, Aaron, you got it. I'm going to try to cut it close to the wire, like a minute before my next call, and then I'll hop. All right. Let's see. Should we go with April's? I think we will. For ads, what can you recommend for ads regarding setting audience time frame to run on ads, and if you should run the same ads on FB and IG with the same settings or different? What are the best hooks for the video ads you've seen? And best practice in general. There are limitations on the action based on objective settings like reach, engagement, Okay, so here's what I recommend. Think of it like this. We have prospecting, remarketing, and loyalty. So we have, hopefully you can see that. So we have like prospecting up here. These are all the people who don't know about your church. For those, you're going to want to set up engagement ads. You're going to get the most bang for your buck, probably between 5 and 10 cents for engagements, if not cheaper. Remarketing is going to be, and also up here, you'll do just like different video view campaign or like traffic campaigns that drive to your sermons page, but you're showing like the 30-second clip, and then when they click it, it goes to the full sermon on those pages, and that would be amazing to drive people to your website. So link clicks and engagement on the prospecting. Then we're going to go into the remarketing, where these people have heard of you. Maybe they're on your email list. Basically, these are people who have heard of you but have not either attended in person, are engaged like volunteering, giving, any of that. You're basically going to upload your list of volunteers and of people who have given, exclude those people. And then this is the goal here, is just to get people to be regularly attending. You could share events here, and for events I would do events ads, and then for the other ads you'd probably just do traffic campaigns, unless you have something set up a little more sophisticated, and you can do conversion campaigns optimized for people to sign up for events, sign up to serve, and visit the giving page. You can't actually, I've talked to PushPay many times, you can't actually track if they give, but you can track that they go to the giving page and optimize for people who are likely to go to the giving page. Then you have loyalty on the bottom. So these are people who are already actively giving, already actively engaged. Here's where I want to show people. I would do a video view campaign here, because you know these people are already engaged. They're probably on your email list, but them seeing your video views or your videos of life change, and you probably have a stories page, pulling all those videos out, even if they're 5 minutes long. These people love you already. Getting that content in front of them and optimizing it for video view is great, because it's going to be like a penny or less, like half a penny to show them. I don't even know what half a penny looks like. Half a penny to actually show these people your videos and get them ultra engaged. And just continue to say, like, I love my church, and see that content. And those people are actually probably more likely to share. So it's just about thinking about where is the part in the journey, and then matching the right content and the right objectives for that. So hopefully that was helpful. I know this stuff can be a lot, and I just like rapid fired on you guys. But I do have to run. But thank you so much. And thank you again, Jeremy, for setting me up to be able to run this. And I'll see you guys next time I go live. If you ever have questions, feel free to just, message me in the comments, or message me, DM, All right. Thank you guys so much for all you do. I know it's a hard job, but I know you guys are amazing. And, this community is amazing. All right. I'll see you later.